Welcome to Mindset U Podcast, your source of mindset education. We aim to provide you with free, valuable education for you to thrive. Enjoy. In episode 3 of Career Change Fears, the guys and I talk about how our mindsets had a big impact in how we decided to make changes in our lives, but also how fear of health insurance has been a big thing. Check out our sometimes comical suggestions on how to deal with that.
Sometimes I feel bad because I was like, yo, I fucking feel that I influenced Rances sometimes to change the brand and image and the purpose of Vita Project. And I know Rances doesn't think this.
Moses has an inflated ego that it makes him see it that way.
I told you guys it was a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but we're here. Sit back and enjoy.
But
Continue.
But before, like, Vita Project was known for fitness.
Yeah,
right.
That's how when I joined Vita Project as a client, it was for fitness.
And that was always a very big problem for us because, you know, obviously we were more than a gym, as the thing in the front of our window said. And now, you know, I'm telling people, oh, you know, I'm sure, Rances, you experienced this as well. Like, when we tell people, oh, yeah, we're closing the gym, and everybody's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, we're changing. Yeah. You know, we're doing something different. And it's like, how do you go from fitness to, you know, corporate leadership coaching, productivity coaching, organizational consulting, stuff like that? How do you go from, you know, fitness to this all of a sudden? And it's like, no, it's the same skills.
It is, because you guys are always about mindset. And I think that's, and I say it before when I was like, oh, like, you guys played a big part. It was the Vita Project mindset of how you attack things and how you deal with things. And if you're consistent about it and you go about it in a methodical way and you think outside the box, you're going to get better. You're going to have a better outlook. Like, honestly and truly, like, I won't name any names, but like my patience for people can be very fucking thin. And I had to learn as a person that you have to accept people. But even that, like with you guys, learning patience and learning and being able to listen to people helped me a lot. And I think it's helped me with this new job where it's like I'm able to listen more and I'm able to not automatically write somebody off if they're just not my cup of tea kind of thing. Because before, you know me when I was younger, I was able to I was ruthless. If I didn't agree with something, I'll let you know, and I'll let you know all the reasons why I think you're stupid for thinking that way. And most likely make you cry and then laugh at you for crying. Not like that anymore. At least not in I take it out in boxing instead.
You know what I think of like exactly what you talked about, like accepting people, being able to, and then this connects to Moses' comment about like influencing the change of whatever. So when I was growing up, I felt that I was very different from everyone around me. I always felt this like feeling that I see the world differently, that people just don't understand. So like there's no point of me even talking. Like I used to be quiet.
Yeah, you were silent. You were silent Bob in high school.
And not just in high school, like
Life.
Elementary school. Like
Yeah.
I was just quiet. Like I had these perspectives and thoughts and ideas that I remember a cousin of mine. I was like 13 or something, and you know we've been like. She lived a few blocks away. We hung out our entire lives. She's much older than me. But when I was 13, we ended up like just hanging out at my parents' house in the couch and talking. Like we talked all night. And she was like, holy shit, like where has this person been?
I thought this story was going to go another way because he's Dominican.
Oh no, come on.
You were setting it up. I was like, please don't tell this on camera, Rances.
Like,
No.
Rances, no, this is going to ruin the brand.
No. Not going that direction. I never had anything like that. So for Jay, I've never had anything like that.
Listen, I don't want to stereotype, but that you were setting it up for an awkward confession.
No, what I was saying is the idea of like there's a certain level of arrogance that I had growing up my entire life, but also on a certain level of like I'm not accepted and I'm not the way people would look at me, the way people would I would explain something and people would look at me and be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, shut up."
Yeah, that still happens though.
It does. It's been a thing throughout my entire life. So, anyways, that perspective for me made me go into like a fork in the road where I could have continued to like shell myself away from everyone, but I think having the exposure of my father, where my father, like you talked about like having health insurance and all this stuff, my father was an entrepreneur his entire life. Like he came here to this country and just like found random jobs with fix people's things and stuff like that. Then he opened up a butcher shop. Then he opened up a refrigeration parts store, and he's just been like throwing stuff at the wall, like and figuring it out. And so like for us, for example, I didn't go to the hospital. I had never been to the hospital until 2014 was the first time I went to the hospital.
Jesus Christ.
It's the first time I've been admitted to the hospital myself. Here, I have a scar right here.
Poured Robitussin on it.
I was small playing and this bike fell. It didn't have the handle. It was just a tube, and the tube fell into my head and stabbed me. Right, giant open flap of skin. What my parents did, they grabbed what's it called, a lupa, the lens to read, like for old people. Magnifying glass. And my mom's holding it, and my dad has a needle that he's putting on the fire and dipping in alcohol, and they stitched me up themselves. That's like how we were raised.
That builds character.
When you telling your story about like health insurance and stuff like that, to me, I was like, who the fuck needs that?
Reds is like pussy.
Why is that even a thought of like, oh, this is gonna be something I lose? It's like, what?
It's called.
But I think
it's called getting a hospital bill. That's what it's called.
That like pushed me into that perspective. Like now, I have this view of the world, and then I have my father who just fucking creates and figures things out. Yeah. So then it was like, all right, now go into the world and just figure shit out. Like, don't worry about how people do things. Just figure shit out. Yeah. And like to me, that was a big aspect of my character. So like when Moses says, "Oh, like I influence him," it's like my direction is this way. Whether we have to get there on a bike, on a car, on an airplane, whatever, it doesn't matter as long as we're going into that direction. So like the ways, the hows doesn't matter to me. It's like where we shipping to. So I don't mind adapting and adjusting as long as we continue to sail.
Big picture mind kind of thing, you know. So that's a great thing to have, especially as an entrepreneur. I have a question for you though, since we're gonna talk about being a pussy for wanting health insurance. If one of your kids right now,
my kids cough and we go to the hospital.
That's what I'm talking about. I was like, you guys are always sick, but if one of them split their head open, are you gonna be like, Paola, get me the needle and put it under the lamp?
No, I still have a lot of that attitude. Now, this comes to the balance with my wife. So I had never been in the hospital myself, but when I met my wife's family, I would be visiting the hospital every other week to visit one of her family members or herself. Yeah. Whether it's Hector that breaking something.
Everything.
Every bone in his body would be breaking every other week. So I was like, what the hell's wrong? I used to call him Mr. Glass. Her other brother got into dumb stuff and end up like either fights or like experiments or... And then Paola, who just made some questionable choices at times. Like one time we had to go to the hospital because she drank a whole thing of soap. And it wasn't on purpose. She was like, she was at work and she had a cup of Gatorade, and right next to it was a soap, a whole thing of soap, and she chugged it and then realized that it was soap. So they called me from her work. Like, she was at the hospital. So like I started visiting the hospital.
Paolo's gonna beat the shit out of you for telling that story.
So like her family were very, very hospital oriented, so then now that transfers to my kids. We go to the hospital.
I have so many questions about Paolo drinking soap. When did she think this isn't Gatorade.
Yeah, like when was the point that she was just like,
I don't-
this tastes
When
weird.
it was like real syrupy, like when did this
The
Gatorade
viscosity
congeal?
just coming off.
But that, and then she would have like, you know, one time we had to run to the hospital for her ovaries. She had to have her ovaries removed. Like all these things. I was just like, yo, what the hell? Why do you guys need the hospital so much?
Yeah.
Like it's something I didn't understand. But obviously now she's my wife. I'm like, she's fucking dying. I'm taking her to the hospital.
I still refuse to go to the hospital, even though I have health insurance. I just like knowing that if I have to go, like when I got my gallbladder taken out, it took me 8 months of dealing with tremendous pain. Like, I finally reached like 12 hours of pain. I was like, I think I have to go now because I'm dying.
Yeah. So here's my view on health insurance. Someone who came up with health insurance always had health insurance because my parents worked for the government and I worked for the government, so it was great. Leaving, I knew I wasn't going to have health insurance.
Yeah.
But the idea of money, the illusion that money really creates, and this might fuck with people's heads now because it's just like, what is Moses talking about? Because, I don't know, money's like everything. Health insurance is important. But in reality, like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, the hospital, you can go to a hospital and the hospital won't deny you. Yeah, you'll get a big-ass bill, right? But the worst case scenario is you file bankruptcy. I'm serious.
You become homeless.
No, you don't become homeless.
I know,
You don't
fucking
become homeless. Like people file bankruptcy all the time, right? You get to write off, you know, a percentage of your medical bill, right? You will survive. Like the world isn't going to end, and the whole idea for me, like, because my parents, that was one of the things they said, like, you're not gonna have health insurance. I was like, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm gonna be fine. And I was like, either you pay for it or or I'll figure it out myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I know you're not gonna let me die, right? Like, and I think,
watch.
my parents were
Bet.
But I think,
But you see, that's fucked because I'm only child. So like that's my thing. I'm like, you're not gonna let me die. They have another one. Like, you know, they're like, we fucked up at that one, but at least we have her. She has kids, so like.
and I'm gonna come to my point at this conjecture is that when you believe in yourself and you understand that you have the people around you that will support you, like it makes it easier to make that decision. And I think that's important too, because like sometimes I see homeless people on the street, right, and I'm like, I can understand how someone gets there, but the only way that I understand that someone gets there is like they have no one.
Yeah.
And that's how they got there. They have no one, and they fell to whatever coping mechanisms or, you know, drugs or, you know, bad scenarios that got them into that situation. And they just didn't have the support system there. But to me, it's like if you have the support system, you have the skills, and you understand that everything that you do in your life is about sharpening your skills, you're going to be fine. Even if you go into a big hole of... Fine, which I did.
Yeah.
I personally, I ruined my credit, but I also got my credit back now.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't file bankruptcy. I was close, but I didn't. And if you think about all of the successful people out there, they've all been at that point. Like, listen to all their stories. They all have gotten to that point, ruined their credit, gotten close to bankruptcy. I mean, fuck, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, at one point, he filed bankruptcy like 25 times, and he became the president. So if that motherfucker can do it, like,
If there's not a more American tale than Donald Trump becoming president,
that's a dumbass that actually did it. But he's actually pretty intelligent at the same time. I don't support Donald Trump. Just saying.
Okay, so I was moving like crazy because it's cold as hell.
It is.
I went
It's
Jay
so
talk,
cold in
I can see his breath.
it's so cold in here.
I'm like shivering, man.
But you know, I wanted to hit on that point that you just hit on, because it's easy to talk about. It's easy to say, yeah, just believe in yourself and all that stuff. But like when you're in it, when you're in that trench, like for example, when you were like, yo, I want to get my own place, but it's impossible. Like you were in that mindset. You're like, and I'm like, what are you talking about? It's impossible. Just talk to people. And you're like, no, because credit, they're going to run my credit. And
But to my point, the support system, right? Like someone that's challenging your way of thinking.
Yeah.
Without that, yeah. If you weren't there saying, listen, bro, that's all bullshit, and that there is a possibility, that there is a way, then the idea of challenging those thoughts don't exist. So
Yeah.
to my point is, if you have the support system, if you have the people that you know will take care of you and give you the knowledge and information to seek the solutions, then a career change is possible. And I think it can happen whenever you're willing to go through the shit to make it happen.
But what about when you don't have a support system?
That's when it gets challenging.
Yes.
And to be honest, like that's one of my. So I was talking to the same friends, right? And one of them is a therapist, and she's talking about like how she has to have. It's all virtual. She has to have 7 calls a day with patients. It's like back to back to back to back. It's like all you're dealing with is like these horrible traumatic stories of people that are in that space, right? And with that repetition, what happens for her is that her view on life goes in that same direction.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a whole thing of like that learned helplessness that happens when you don't have the support. So how is it possible to gain support or whatever? And it goes back to that fundamental skill, which is relationships, right? When you can have that perspective of hope, and I think that's the hardest part. It's not even the support, because there are resources. There are how you
Plenty
can
of
go on
things.
meetup.com and see like, oh, let's meet up with these people and connect with people and build relationships. It's the hope to believe that something better is out there, that's something that you can affect and you can input. And I think that's the biggest thing that's always gets destroyed in organizations, in families, in the perspective of hope. Once that hope gets lost, like, it's like, what's the point?
What does your health, love life, spirituality, career, finances all have in common? Your mindset. Mindset is the source of creating change. To learn how to install these and other life-transforming concepts, browse through our free collection of courses at betheproject.com.